Over the past decade, Australia's income from minerals has surpassed that from wool, wheat and beef. Here in the northwest of Western Australia, 10 new mining towns have been built for 30,000 people. During the next 10 years, 250,000 settlers may be required to develop the whole region. How do the people in these new settlements see themselves as communities? What can we learn from them? And how should it influence our future remote settlements?
Oh, I think we came here because the money was pretty high.
That's the main reason. Save money. You can't save it in the city.
I'm mainly working all the time. You can't sort of hop out to a nightclub when you want to or tear around from suburb to suburb because there isn't any. So it's just work and live in a small community and saving money. Now we're going to stay approximately 2 years, I hope. Then we'll go back to Perth and eventually buy our own house down there.
I couldn't live here permanently. I think 2 years would be enough.
Mining towns are for young couples going in to save money and get out again for their own home.
When young family come up to this part of the world, they don't anticipate the heat, they don't anticipate the stress, the industrial stress, they don't anticipate the imbalance of community, and they don't anticipate the very extreme paternalism of some companies over their normal life in a community. So they come up here expecting things to be quite different. Coming up is probably hardest on the women. They leave the security of the suburbs in Perth and they come up to an environment where there's no job opportunity for them. Only about 5% of the jobs are available to women. They've got the kids around them all day. Their husbands are working very long shift hours and are absolutely exhausted by the time they get home. And the air conditioning closes them in their houses. And many just don't survive.
The first 2 years that I was here, I hated Showgap. And there was no specific reason why I hated it. I just couldn't accept it.
Turnover of workforce I have here is really fantastic, really. Over 3 years it worked out a man per day.
When the iron miners first came to this area, the settlements they provided for people were essentially based on slabs of, let's say, capital city suburbia. Every householder had his own block, his own house. The only concession they made to climate was to have the houses fully air-conditioned and to put a wider eaves overhang on them. As an architect, it disturbs me that we can't do something better than transporting capital city suburbia to the Australian tropics, but who's to say if this is what people are used to and it will attract a workforce from the capital city, it may be the correct solution. And these first few years are the time for experiment. There have been experiments in radical types of flats. Then probably the most radical of all of these experiments has been the town of Shay Gap.
The choice of the site derived from a need to enclose the people who are going to live here. And the choice of the form of the buildings, the grouping of the buildings, derived from a similar philosophy. The need to remove the wide and frightening horizons, and the need to provide an enclosure and an intimacy which would reflect protection from the environment and from the stresses which very obviously would influence the people who come here. The stresses in this particular environment are the sun, the heat, the dust, but together with this, we have the psychological stresses of remoteness, isolation. The effort has been to generate, as much as anything, a background against which community can be built.
Where do you meet friends most of the time. At school, and when you're at home, someone might come pick you up.
Right, close up your epic books, please. Put them away. Take out your stories that you did on Shay Gap.
Shay Gap, my home. Shay Gap is a small isolated town in East Pilbara, Western Australia. It's been going for 3 years, but the mine has been going for 6. There is a smaller mine called Sunrise. It is a space-age town and the best in Australia.
Shay Gap, my home. Shay Gap is an ideal place for climbing. The town is surrounded by flame-coloured hills. Shay Gap is 50 miles away from the closest place, Goldsworthy. The town of Shay Gap is a small place where most people you know are friendly. The things I like about Shay Gap is the weather. It is always warm or hot. An improvement I would like is at the pitches. When I go down there, either frogs jump on me or I get splashed.
I think that most times when a family does leave Shay Gap, that it would be the wife. She can't settle down, and then she starts at the husband, and he finds that he can't work properly, and it sets up a vicious circle. I should say that that would be about 80% of the times. Perhaps the other 20% the husband doesn't like it.
I think all women in Shay Gap go through frustrations and boredom, and you think, oh, you know, let's pack up and go, but you soon get over it, and, you know, life's back to normal again, and you're as happy as what you were before, you know.
The job position is very limited, and if you are a career-minded person, well, the only jobs I think that are available are working down the shop.
What I find I miss the most with the family is Mum not seeing the kids grow up, and the kids not really knowing their nanas until they're about 8 or 9, and they really understand what a nana is. I know now when I leave Mum in Perth, I often wonder if in the next 12 months I am going to see Mum again. And it's becoming harder for us to say goodbyes. You have to learn to substitute. You know, you sort of have to use what's up here, and what you haven't got, well, you just sort of make do with what you got, or you find something else.
Shay Gap is a company town, which basically means that it was built by the company, serviced by the company, and apart from 1 or 2 facilities such as school and police, everything is run by the company.
The people here put up with the shop. We've got to put up with it, and that's all there is to it.
But I must admit, last week I went to Newman, and it was really great to walk into a shop that had stacks of variety.
But I think it's just a losing battle. You can complain to the shop, or you can complain to the township officer, but half the time you give up. You know, you get that way where you just can't be bothered. You're hitting your head against a brick wall.
Well, it is a company town. They're the only people that can do anything for you. It's the company. If you want anything done, you have to go through the company to get permission to do it.
You've got to apply to the company to have permission for someone to stay with you, which, you know, at first I thought was ridiculous, especially where it was family.
I'm 18, I've just left school. So far as job opportunities are concerned in Shay Gap, there's very little. I either work with the company or go down south to Perth.
I took the temperature today at midday, and I got 121 in the sun and about 104 in the shade. The water temperature is about 90, just on 90 now. I get down here most days the same people. 20% of the wives would come down here, the rest of them don't come. I don't know where the rest of them are. The people that I get are the same people. The ones that don't come down would spend the rest of their time in their air-conditioned houses.
What we've seen in the Pilbara is the construction of towns and the selection of people at random. They're bribed up here with swimming pools, high incentive wages, comforts, poured into a town and just allowed to try and develop. Well, this is a disaster. It won't work. Some of the short-term things that could happen in towns to facilitate community, therefore stability, is that some sort of social planning has to be introduced into the town. There are no guidance officers in the schools. There are no psychiatrists, psychologists, marriage guidance. There's very few welfare people in this area. I think that recruitment could be improved considerably by interviewing both husband and wives and talking about their aspirations and what they actually feel about coming to a remote, tropical, harsh environment. If you paint it that way, there'll be people who love it, because really it is a magnificent place if you like it. There's no real reason why Northwesters shouldn't become a breed unto themselves. My real feeling is a blight on all company towns. I don't believe that they work now, nor will they work. If they have to be company towns, the company would be doing itself and its community a great service if it completely dissociated itself in every possible way and allowed the community to learn by its own mistakes and by its own achievements which way it wants to go. In other words, the community itself has to determine its own destiny.
I don't think that you'll ever be able to change it because the town has such a short lifespan as it is. We're not here forever. This will eventually be a ghost town like everything else to do with mining.